Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Hello, Ashley.
Hello.
I don't know if I'm excited to talk about this movie, but we are about to talk about the Netflix hit film, Rebel Ridge. It is a 2-hour, 11-minute rated R action thriller movie. It was released September 6, 2024. Here's a quick summary. Terry Richmond enters the town of Shelby Springs on a simple but urgent mission: pose bail for his cousin and save him from imminent danger. But when Terry's life savings is unjustly seized by law enforcement, he's forced to go head-to-head with local police chief Sandy Byrne and his combat-ready officers. Terry finds an unlikely ally, court clerk Summer McBride, and the two become ensnared in a deep-rooted conspiracy within the remote township. As the stakes turn deadly, Terry must call upon his mysterious background to break the department's hold on the community, bringing justice to his own family, and protect Summer in the process. Here's the cast. We have Aaron Pierre as Terry Richmond, legendary actor and daddy to Dakota Johnson, Don Johnson as Sheriff Sandy Byrne. We have Anna Sophia Robb as Summer, David Denman as Racist Officer 1, and Emery Cohen as Racist Officer 2. Okay. Ratings. We have Rotten Tomatoes, 96% for critics, 72% from audience. Google users gave this film 72%. Ashley. Oh, I forgot to also mention Jeremy Saulnier is the director and screenwriter for this film. Ashley, what is your grade for Rebel Ridge?
It's a little tough for me, maybe because this is not like my ideal genre necessarily to watch regularly. So it's not that it was a bad film and by any means. I think it definitely had its plot and purpose, but it's just not necessarily my favorite. So I don't know, maybe like B minus, C plus grade that I give this one. This is my first time getting to see Aaron because I still haven't gone, even though he's just the voice, to hear him as Mufasa, right? So this is my first time getting to experience him on screen and really dive into a role. And I thought he did a great job in this character. But, you know, again, being the first time I've seen him, he is this person. So now I'll have to see what else he does. Roles. Yeah, because he's physically like very imposing in this film to me.
Yes.
With everything. So yeah, and then with Don Johnson and this, I'm so used to currently watching him in Dr. Odyssey as the captain of essentially almost like the Love Boat that I'm like, what is this, Don? What are we doing?
I know.
I guess.
It's so funny because Don Johnson, we talk about this all the time of being like way too young to love certain shows. Like, but my show growing up, one of them was Nash Bridges. I used to watch Nash just with my parents. I think it came on CBS. It was a good show. A good sidekick procedural cop, a little bit of comedy, resolved by the end. And obviously, he was known for Miami Vice, which is before our
Of
time.
course. Of
Um,
course.
yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, let's see what this movie about. And if I'm frankly honest, y'all, the reason why I chose this film is because Jennifer Hudson made me do it. Jennifer Hudson, aka The Happy Place, Cheer Tunnel, made me do it. Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. I wanted to know who Aaron Pierre was. And so I looked up his projects and I saw that it had high ratings. And I was like, let's do it. I know I'm not the only one.
No, I'm sure it definitely got multiple watches again or for the first time after that, after the popularity. And also, I went and saw the originating video because again, it's all over. People have recreated all this stuff. That is the only one that does not allow for comments. And I'm like, what were
That
y'all posting?
was intentional.
Of course
Again,
it was.
because this is
Of
this
course it
is
was.
we're adults on this podcast. People were talking about, oh, it looks heavy, and I'm like, ah,
Yeah.
Sweet man alone. He is a dork actor who so happens to be fine. And, I think it's interesting because honestly, I have seen him before. He is up and coming. His projects actually aren't, he doesn't have a long list of projects. He's from Britain, he has Jamaican heritage. I actually first remember seeing him for Underground, which is the mini series directed by Barry Jenkins. He was a Negro, light skinned Negro in the in the project. I feel like a lot of our British actors they get their first experience sometimes playing enslaved Africans or African American figures, and he took that route. And so this is his starring role, and this is like the first like action. But this man comes from a prestigious acting background, so I think it's you know he got buffed for it, and obviously we're anticipating his superhero debut because he's about to get that check. Okay, being the
I'd
Green
say so.
Lantern.
Hmm.
So, and his voice is distracting. I'm like, why is he, it's a time for everything. So he's peaking at the right time. So again, I was curious. I wanted to see what this man is about. I remember people talking about this movie when it came out last fall. And I was like, let's do it. Similar to what you said, Ashley, this isn't necessarily my favorite genre, but I do have great appreciation for it. I have appreciation for it, but I didn't love it. I felt like this movie was ambitious, and I'll get more into that a little bit later. And so, because of that, I gave it a C minus. It's not a reflection of his performance or anyone's performance. If anything, everyone acted really well. I used to always say this when it comes to art and me and how I grade it. If it's able to evoke emotion out of me in any kind of way, I'm really impressed with it. You know what I mean? It's not like I was apathetic or anything like to this movie. If anything, I was very pissed off throughout the entire thing.
Yeah. You had a lot of injustices happening at once.
Tons of injustices. And I'm like, can somebody get this man a break? So it's not the performance, is more so the writing and how everything laid out. I feel like it was clunky. And that's the reason for my grade. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into spoiler alert. All right, Ashley, I'm going to talk about this recap the way I originally watched it. So, we see Aaron Pierre, okay, as Terry riding his bike. All we know is he's somewhere in the South. He's sweating his ass off. It's very rural. There's a cop car driving behind him, and he gets tagged. Somehow it becomes his fault for quote unquote evading arrest, and then conspiracy because he had a wad of money and he frankly told these people, hey, I'm on my way to your town hall to post bail for my cousin because he needs to get out of it. You know what I mean? So I sold my steak in a restaurant and I sold my car. Now selling the car was pretty extreme. I'm like, sir, what are we doing? But this man was desperate. The cops was like, okay, yeah, that's cute. We're gonna take this money and you're free to go. I'm like, first of all, you potentially busted my only form of transportation, my bike. I'm scraped up. I told you what I need the money for. You steal it, you take it, and tell me, oh, you good to go. What's the point? What was the reason?
It all felt very corrupt, from the way that he was taken down off his bike to um, the way that every time he said, no, this isn't legal, they found a way to force him to do it. Otherwise, it would cause more issues or hassle if he didn't do it their way. I mean, it was so outrageous and upsetting. I think that's another reason why I didn't, gravitate towards wanting to watch this, because a black man going up against the cops,
Yep.
I don't need it in my entertainment. So,
No.
it was really disheartening too, because it was like, this is illegal search and seizure.
Yes.
And y'all are really saying, yo, I don't know what to tell you, but we about to collect this money. And just so you know, if you fight it, you have some problems. Like 30K.
That's
basically.
a lot of money. And like evading arrest. Sir, you could have honked the fucking horn. What do you mean?
Or you're chasing somebody down like this for a stolen bike. It's not that deep.
It is not.
It's not that deep. And he would have not done that, in my opinion, if he were not a black man.
Not at all.
You would have gotten up on the side of him. Sir, can you please? Sir, can you please? Or you would just let him keep rolling, be like,
yeah,
it's a bike.
It's a bike. You're in a car. On top of that, extremely impressed by Terry's response to all of it. He was very calm, very measured. Did you suspect that he had some type of military experience in his interaction with the cops?
He seemed militant, and based on just his size and stature, I didn't think he was like, regular, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, again, physically, Aaron was very imposing, and I think it helped me to feel a little bit better about things, because I was like, if he had just, it did, because for me
it made me scared, because I'm like, oh, he's bigger than all these people. They're gonna really want to pull out the guns.
No, it made me worry less for his safety, because if nothing else, in my opinion, at least he could put up some level of fight. I'm not saying he would win, but I'm saying if he had been just some little dude that they could throw around or whatever, I would have been more concerned. The fact that he was physically imposing made me feel like, yo, at least if he's going down, he may take one or two of y'all out with him, bro. So let's do it. Aaron, we gotta do it.
30K down, still makes his way to the town hall to inquire about getting his cousin out. He meets the city clerk, who's like, well, you ain't got no money. We ain't got nothing to talk about. And I gotta go.
And they don't pay me for overtime.
Whew. Summer, the court clerk, was like, you know what? Let me see what I can do. So let me look into it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm keeping it real with y'all today. I did not want them to have any romantic relationships. I didn't want it.
No, not at all.
I was like, I don't want to go down this route. This man is already going through it. But she was a real one. I will give Summer that. She was a real one. Again, I'm going to take y'all through how I went through this movie. We see him in the woods. I'm like, who is this man? He is not only out here riding this bike for his life, trying to get his cousin out, We find out the reason for that is because he was an informant and that, there's a target on his cousin's head. So as soon as he gets into prison, it's a wrap. So
Mm.
he is trying his best. He is running up against the clock. And the cops of Shelby Springs is messing with his time. And the next day, he was like, I'm going to reclaim my time and talk to the sheriff. This is played by Don Johnson. Based off of the interaction, did you trust that they actually made a deal? Because I thought they did. He agreed to, he's like, let me get this, 10K, and then you can keep the rest. I just need to make sure my cousin gets out. And he's like, show up at 9:00 the next day.
I can't say that I trusted anything that was happening in that moment. Like I already, when he walked up in there, I was thinking like, Terry, what are we doing? Like, what is the outcome we're looking for here?
He
Because
was
you are very like bold
very bold saying that the
in
cops stole
this
from him, which they did.
small ass backwoods town where I feel like they still hang people from trees. Uh, it made me nervous. I'm like, why are we going in here like playing these games? Like when he started having her type up that police report, I said, "Oh my God, Terry, what's in game here? What is your
Well,
point?"
he was recording that conversation, right?
Yeah. I didn't
Um,
know that till the chief of police pointed it out though. I didn't know what we were doing.
yeah. But again, I was like, who is this man? He's in the woods again.
If this movie didn't take itself
Where
too
are we?
seriously, they would have played Justin Timberlake Man of the Woods.
And then where are we? I
But
feel
we
like
too
they did not
serious.
do the best job of like, and I think they tried to play into him, Terry being this mysterious person. He shows up the next day. He misses the freaking bus.
Where was Terry showering though? Like,
That is what I'm saying.
was
All
he
this
going down
sweating,
into the river?
all of this sweating. Okay. Look, I mean, he still looked immaculate every time he showed up.
Exactly. Like this man's out living in nature. Where is the shower? Where's
Unless
the deodorant?
unless
Where's the
the
soap?
manly musk is his appeal.
Oh, no, no, no. That was unusual. I thought that was a very unusual choice for sure.
Terry shows up 3 minutes late and he misses his cousin. I was just like, oh, so this town is just playing in this man's face. Okay. I thought it was really odd that he decided to ride the bike next to the bus to tell his cousin to keep his head up. I was like, I don't know what this means. I guess it shows maybe it was a way to get the energy expelled. Just be like, hey, I got you.
Well, I think he was also trying to relay information to him, right, about the fact that he was in danger and what he was trying to
Danger.
do.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of him trying to like speak to him, was to, kind of relay that information. So I felt like it just showed his determination, because I'm like, you said, I don't care what you talking about. I'm about to go catch this bus on my bike
Yep.
and then go so far as to at least let the driver know what's up. Like, yes,
Like I
I'm
see
here
you. Yes.
and y'all not about to stop me from talking to my
Know
cousin.
my face.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley, everything that happens after this is literally a back and forth between Terry and this police department. When he shows up the first time, they're like, who is this man? He apparently is some, they call it McNabb, MCMAP. So he's known for like martial arts. And I guess the sheriff felt like he was safe because he was a Marine but wasn't deployed. But I'm like, that don't mean nothing. Like, that don't mean
You still get
he's not
trained.
capable of kicking your ass. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That was
Um,
fun though. That was a fun scene. Chief, you're gonna want to step out of you're gonna want to
yeah.
step but take a few steps back.
And then we're talking all about acronyms, pace. Let's talk about this. Okay, Ashley. I said this movie was ambitious because what this movie does, it talks about America's police state, right? It talks about the brutality. It touch upon poor, economics of a small rural town. Again, I was like, where are we? So apparently, this Shelby Springs is part of a Louisiana. They even touch upon the drug epidemic. The symptoms of this bad behavior is a product of all these macro issues, right? But I just felt like the themes were overarching and poorly executed. Because the back and forth between Terry and the police department was a lot for me, Ashley. What are your thoughts?
I just feel like, again, it's really bold to take them on in this way, especially a town you never set foot in before. You don't necessarily know how things work. You don't even know how many people are around who may try to do you harm. Because that's what I kept thinking. I was like, when are they just going to come try to kill you? Like,
I mean,
I
and
was
not
waiting
even a
on it.
cop. It could just be somebody with a
Citizen.
shotgun.
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. I kept waiting on like his life to really be in imminent danger because I felt like at any moment, based on the antagonism, that was a potential. But again, I think based on how this movie kind of goes, he's supposed to be, really showing and trying to prove that, he's willing to go the distance to do what he needs to do. In real life, I don't think Terry would have made it.
Terry would not have made it. And I think this film is reminiscent of like the films of like the late 80s, 90s, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal and even freaking Chuck Norris, where you have like this
Chuck
white
Norris.
But you understand what I mean?
Yes.
It's typically a white guy in a t-shirt who's unassuming, but don't bother him because he'll whoop your behind.
Well, even
You know
the
what I
original
mean?
Roadhouse. Like, I know we
Yes.
recapped the new Roadhouse,
Patrick
but the original
Swayze.
Roadhouse, guys, if
Yep.
you have not seen that movie,
It's a lot of
oh my
kicks.
goodness. Hilarious to me. But anyway, yeah, I agree. It does give you some of that, some of those vibes. But um Jean-Claude Van Damme Time Cop was my movie back in the day. I'm just gonna say that right now. Saving his wife, do it. Like, I'm going back in time every time. I gotta save her. Somebody could read. He could read. Aaron Pierre could redo Time Cop. I'd watch it. But this just was not it for me again because it's we've been traumatized too much in real life for me to think this is fun. This ain't fun.
Yes. And Ashley, I am so happy that you say that because that was, if I don't say nothing else, I will say this. It was ambitious. It was a younger white director, screenwriter for this. And I'm like, the reason why it's not hitting the way it needs to, because he needed somebody black on the writing table, because it hits different when it's a black man in the lead. You're talking about the South. You're talking about police. You're talking about
Yeah. I mean,
abuse of power.
they did
Like,
throw in certain things like when the black woman at the station takes him out and you have the bystanders talking about we should string him up
yep,
somewhere type. I
yep.
mean, you do still hear that. So
And
it's
she
not
handled that
completely
very well.
lost. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But you
I'm sure she does living in that fucking town.
but
I'm
you know
sure
what's
she
so
does.
funny? A lot of black people, even from back in the day, it's like sometimes when black people are cops, they're not black anymore, they're blue.
They're
So
blue. Yeah. I appreciate though what y'all was not gonna do is have black on black crime in this film.
yeah, but Jessica got on my last nerves. Was
I
that her name?
mean, it was Jessica. Could she have done more? Yes. But could she have done less? Yes. You know what I mean?
So you're saying she was telling line.
She was towing the line a little bit. There was especially one moment where I was very disappointed in her because I thought she also was like, down for the cause.
Right.
But she
Towards
redeemed
the end.
herself She redeemed herself because I was literally about to text you like one thing this movie was not gonna do is have a sister going against a brother. You know what I'm
And
saying?
she sure did.
And she hurt my
She
feelings.
she hurt my. I was so pissed, Ashley. I was so pissed. I was like, why does he keep giving this woman a chance? She has shown her colors. Okay.
Because he didn't want to believe that she was not down for the cause. I'm telling you, he trusted her. He trusted her.
Too
He really
much.
did.
Too much.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So it's the all right, you kicked our asses. We figured out who you were. Let's act like none of this happened. Get your money back. Your cousin is getting fluted. I shouldn't joke like that because this was meddler. And leave town and we good, right? Just for his cousin to die.
I was so conflicted about this whole thing because I was like, why give him a pass and let him go at this point? Is this a show of actual humanity? Do y'all really feel bad that y'all fucked
I
up and
think
let
they
his
might have
cousin
been a
get
little
killed?
scared. I think they were scared of his ability, but they didn't respect him being a former, vet in the first place. The way they were pushing him around,
But
treat him
once they got him, they could have shot him in the head easy
easy.
in that car. So,
Yep.
so it was like he's in y'all hands right now. Why give him this pass? So I was thrown for a loop. I was like, I was fast forwarding some because I'm like, now I gotta rewind.
I don't trust this.
What is happening right in this moment, right? I was so confused.
Yep.
And we didn't have enough detail yet as to what was really going on as far as like the conspiracy of the town,
Right.
to better understand what their, I guess, additional motivations were. But I still felt like, again, he only survived because he's the star of this movie. Because in any other circumstance, after you take these cops hostage, after you beat they asses, they're going to kill you.
Yes.
And you realize this movie, for as heightened as the tension was, actually had minimal violence in reality.
It did. And I'm not going to lie. When he did have his, martial arts, let me kick some ass moments, I felt like it was a little slow. Like, I think I just remember it being faster in other action movies.
Maybe.
But that body roll just felt a little, I'm like, oh, you took your time with that one. It's so funny because I don't know if it's because he was a black man. Whenever it came to guns, he was always like disarming and like throwing away the bullets. So yeah, that's a great point.
For all the heightened tension, very little real violence. Or I should say, very little death. Maybe that's better.
Yeah. But it was the same crusty people getting in his face time and time again.
Well, that one cop in particular from the first two, that one was truly a bad apple in this film. And I don't think he died, but he could have got
easy. Terry calls up Summer and she drives him to pick up the truck that they gave him the money for, the money back for, girl. And in this conversation, she's like, something's up with these 90-day mark. Like they getting these people on these misdemeanors and then keeping them for 90 days. What is the deal? Terry was like, oh, word. Yeah, I don't care. The whole point of me being out the whole town. Point of me being in this crusty ass town was for my cousin who is no longer with us. So deuces. But it wasn't that easy, Ashley. It was not that easy because in the middle of the night, Summer wakes up, finding out that she was injected with some drugs by her neighborhood friendly police. I was like, oh, this is dirty.
I thought her child was living with her at that time. So I was like,
so too. I did too.
What? Y'all just sneak in the thick of the night and drug and try to kill a child's mother in the house. So I was definitely glad that wasn't the case. But I'm like, you must have been sleeping hard as hell that the needle going into your arm was not
Listen,
the thing that woke you.
listen. Exactly. Exactly. We find out that she has had a history with drug addiction, and she's on the straight and narrow because she's trying to be a lawyer. She knows what it's like to be helpless and to lose custody and things along those lines. And so we get a chance to get to know Summer because she calls Terry, like, I need your help. So he turns around, even though he was supposed to leave that town by sundown, that sundown town. Sounds about right, doesn't it?
You giving me
Um,
chills because I was like, and he's going back for,
the white woman.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little scary.
This is triggering again.
Yeah.
I
For
for black
any
for
of
the black
our
experience.
white listeners, like if you don't understand, like I was forced to watch Rosewood multiple times in middle school. I've said this multiple times on the podcast before, but it is very triggering the fact that historically we've been wrongly accused
Girl.
and killed and persecuted for so many things in situations like this. And the
And they
fact that
burned the entire city, their
they
whole entire
burned
town
the
down.
town to the ground. The
Yes.
fact that he was getting so entangled with her and it felt like there was stuff going on that was separate from him just with her was making me nervous. Like, bro, you
Yes.
already have your own shit on your shoulders. And now you
You do
taking on
not
hers
need.
too.
Yes.
That
And
got to
you
me.
all, I said that at the top of the recap that I didn't want them to be romantically involved. This is what I was referring to. I had the same anxiety, the same triggered thing. Like, we don't have time for romance in this small town because they gonna try to kill this man, and I don't need that type of stress.
I probably would
Like
have
you
turned it
said,
off, to be honest.
listen. It's like I don't need this level of stress in my entertainment.
Because I
But
even had to break this up into two parts. I didn't watch this straight through. I watched this
oh,
in
you did
two
not.
parts. No, ma'am. 1 hour
So
one day, one
I
hour another day.
so I watched it together, and that's why I kind of felt like, again, the story was ambitious, but the execution wasn't as smooth as I needed it to be. It was doing too much. It was a lot of back and forth. I was questioning like Terry's behaviors and the police officers' behaviors. I was like, are they trying to make Terry a morally gray character? Or like, do you think it's clear cut on who you were rooting for, Ashley? Like, did you feel like he was the
Yes.
protagonist but just got into some mess, or like
Ain't no way y'all could have made him a villain. He could have killed every cop in that town, and he's not the villain of the film for me. I don't know how our audience feels about it, but they do you know what I mean? Like they are clearly
yeah,
the villains of the movie with their behavior, with the way that they have treated him, with the other shenanigans that they have going on. Like
yes.
they are the enemy. Fight me on it if you want to.
Well, Ashley, we find out because Terry and Summer shook down Elliot and the judge on like what the F is going on in this town,
The
right?
conspiracy of it all, too.
Yes, 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 yes. The cover ups were due to town nearly went bankrupt because of a legal settlement. And so they decide to hold these criminals for misdemeanors for 90 days to avoid giving over footage on the dash cam. So I'm like, so they're out here doing some real dirty work, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all are afraid for the dash cams to be released.
Mm-hmm. And also, whatever the one cop said, this is gonna be a silent ride. I didn't even know that was a thing. They intentionally are preventing their cruisers from capturing footage at different times as well. I mean, that's scary.
And there's no public defenders.
Very
So
corrupt.
very corrupt. And of course, every chance they get, if there's money on the table, they taking it and they're using it to fund this illegal shadow operation.
My only thing with this, I don't know if I would care this much to do all this dirt. Like, just go ahead and get swallowed up by the parish or whatever y'all talking about. Like, is it this deep to engage in criminal activity? Who cares this
Just they
much?
felt justified, okay? But then they do care because old dude was up for election. Don Johnson's character.
Yeah, it's like it all comes down to like power and ego because
Yes.
who
Yes.
cares
Exactly.
this
Everybody's broke.
much?
There's not that many people here anyway.
Bruh, how many citizens live there? What's the population?
All I saw were the cops.
I feel like I could look to my left and look to my right. I'm not seeing no neighbors. So, like, what are y'all fighting so hard for at the end of the day?
Oh
Like
my
the judge over
god.
here drugging himself. What
Listen.
what was the point of all this? The motivation was not that large. I could see like if you were cashing out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all wasn't cashing out. Y'all did all this for the love of this fucking town.
Right.
Bruh. Y'all wild. Y'all are wild. You go ahead and own this dirt. You go ahead. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh my god. Okay. So Summer apparently is a quick study because her and Terry are going under the courthouse to the basement to pick up all these lost SD cards from the dash cams. They successfully get it. He leaves, get in the getaway car. She decided to destroy her urine sample because I didn't say this. Terry comes save her, but she decides to go into work. And the way this police station is so, set up, they put a bug in the judge ear and he's like, I need a random sample. I'm like, these people are, whatever they were, though, they were organized enough because I didn't say this on the top of the movie. They set up Terry. He told them about where he got his money from. He talked about how he had, sold his steak in a Chinese restaurant. The next day, when they screwed him over, missing his cousin by 3 minutes, they put a hit on the restaurant that he owned with Mr. Lee. I was like, they were thorough, apparently, Ashley.
Or vindictive. I mean,
Very
I don't know how
vindictive.
much it takes to call another precinct and say, yo, I got a tip for you. You gonna want to go do this, do that. I mean, that seems easy breezy phone call. But yeah, I mean, it's never a good idea to split up in these sorts of circumstances, Summer.
Yes.
Why would you
Yes.
leave your bodyguard when
Literally.
there's a fire that they're trying to set to kill you?
I'm like, why did she ask him to go with her?
I
Or she could have
don't
just
know,
not
bro.
bothered and stay focused on the actual task.
As soon as she was like, "Oh, I need to go do this," I said, "Oh, they about to kill you." That's what I was thinking. In that moment, I'm like, "Oh, you're dead.
Yep,
You're
I
dead." Because
agree.
why? Why? For why?
Agreed. We have the big standoff. Okay. Terry goes back to the station. He arranged a swap, Summer for the cards. Of course, there's the back and forth that pissed me off that I don't even want to go into detail about because I was like, what are we doing? It was a mess, Ashley. This whole standoff actually kind of got on my nerves. And to your point, it was very nonviolent in that they kind of alluded to it in the beginning of the movie about how the goal is de-escalation. So they technically had all these tools, i.e., the tasers and the smoke guns and the all of those things were used for Terry to save Summer. In the process, racist cop number one gets shot and he has a change of heart.
Well, it turns out he was Serpico, right? Like, Terry thought it was the black woman that was helping Summer, and it was not
Yes. And it was not. That's a great point, Ashley.
Jessica, black woman named Jessica. By the way, really quick about the taser, when
Yes.
they tased Terry and Terry ripped that, I said, Terry, bruh, like again, physically imposing. Who gets tased
and
and then
rip it
just
off.
rips it. He ripped that. So I said, Terry,
Yeah, he still passed out though. I was so
no,
impressed. I
he
was like, is
passed
he?
out because dude knocked his head hard on the
That's
floor.
true. That's true.
That's the only way you gonna get him. Because otherwise he would have
And
taekwondoed
honestly,
your ass.
I don't think his voice was in full effect either in this movie, as deep as it could be, because I think they were playing up his physicality. That's my opinion. That's
Probably.
because
Again,
he wasn't giving us the full Mufasa. You know what
he's
I mean?
very imposing in this film for sure. I'm intimidated and I'm watching you on screen.
It's the eyes too. The eyes are piercing. Um,
Are they piercing or is that the thing that would make people swoon? I don't know. It seems like people swoon over the eyes.
no, but for his character, they're for the point of this movie, they were piercing. I think
Hmm.
any other situation, they would definitely be like. Did you see their interview with Kelly Clarkson?
Yes.
He was talking, and Kelly was doing the yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear not one word.
Yes.
She's
I sure
like,
did.
it's the eyes, it's the voice. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, we're at the end of this freaking movie. Terry managed to get all the broken people in the car and they go to the hospital.
Oh, all the broken people.
The way it ends felt a bit abrupt for me. But basically, I guess they did what they needed to do, right? Like they managed to get the dash cam on, incriminating the sheriff,
Chief of
managed to
police.
leave. The chief, sorry, thank you. The chief of police. He uses Narcan on Summer. Again, I see what this director, writer was trying to do. Again, talking about de escalation, talking about the drug epidemic. But it's just the way he ended it with them showing up to the hospital. They're being taken care of, and Terry taking the dash cam, sitting in the waiting room. I was not satisfied.
Well, yeah. Who's gonna take that dash cam footage too? Because everybody in that town's corrupt. So where are we going?
That's what I'm saying. What are the next steps?
And then what is Terry gonna do after this?
Where did he come from? I have questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even with his cousin listed him as next of kin. Do we not have extended family? Do we not have parents? Like,
I want
it's
to know his
very
relationship with his
mysterious.
cousin because I mean he went hard for his cousin, right?
Yeah.
Like
Life
I
and
think
death.
it so this is my 2 cents. I think one, I think it would have been a little bit more impactful if it were a brother instead of a cousin. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, damn.
I'm not
Said these cousin bonds are loose. Okay.
no.
I need siblings or nah.
But he went in
Siblings or
so
nah.
hard. He went in so hard.
I would go hard for my cousins too. I have close relationships with my cousins, so I
I'm not
understand
saying
it.
I don't. I just
I
I'm just
understand it. But it again, for me, it was more so where's the rest of the family? Like, why were
and
you
why is it
next of
your
kin?
responsibility?
Yes.
Like, where are his parents?
Yes.
Yes, you're a retired Marine, but like, are you from Louisiana? And what I was like, what Negro goes around riding bikes in Louisiana in the South?
He was living outside. I think feel like the bike is the least of our worries here. Where is he? Is he homeless? Is he unhoused? If so, this is our second film in a row.
Yep.
You know, where is he going next?
So I have to say, I feel like the heat played a role in this particular film. Um,
Hmm.
did it feel oppressive to you? Like, he was constantly sweating. It's like hot agitation. I feel like in some ways it contribute to the tension of the film.
I could see that. I mean, I think it was a choice for sure. And again, location and all that was a part of it too. I feel like extreme temperatures, whether hot or cold, play a character in films like this where it's supposed to add a level of tension because you think about some of the films that have like significant action scenes in like the snow and there's like a snowstorm and so it's used as a
Yeah.
backdrop or a cover and you know all or an impediment, right? An impediment to the forces that are trying to come against you. So yeah, I definitely think weather can play a part in it, but now you really got me thinking about what they could have done at the end. I feel like it would have been so great to see like a flash to whatever sometime later and we see like, oh, he really lives in the city and he has this going on and he's been able to make this difference. And then we see Summer has become a lawyer. And you know what I mean? Like, I do feel like we could have got like a flash forward that would have satisfied the ending a little bit better than the ambiguous one that we got. I do. The more I think about it, I definitely agree.
I think about, especially because they're playing up the racial tension, it reminded me a lot of A Time to Kill, which is a phenomenal film.
Too
One
much for
that,
me, though. I've seen it once and that's it.
listen,
Never watching it again.
it
Never watching it
was
again.
brilliantly done. Samuel L. Jackson's performance, Matthew McConaughey's performance, Sandra Bullock's performance. That movie was phenomenal. And I saw it at a very young age. And
Okay.
it stuck with me, but it was so well done. I had more of a tolerance for those type of movies than I do now. And I think, I
Because you haven't
mean,
digested as much. You hadn't
it's
digested as
probably
much yet. You're
it
tired
wasn't so
now.
blatant. It wasn't so blatantly in your face, right?
Yeah, and you're tired now. As an adult,
That's true.
we're constantly tired.
That is true. That's why I read romance fantasy.
I
It's
get
like
it. I get it.
heavy. Uh, Ashley, flash round. Do you think this role has prepared Aaron Pierre to being like the next big action star?
I mean, he damn sure, as we've said many times, has the physicality for it. So, sure. I mean, I feel like, some of our older veteran actors are going to be hanging it up. Denzel has given his life fully to the Lord. So,
Yes,
maybe
the
Aaron
man is
Pierre,
70,
yeah, maybe Aaron Pierre will do Equalizer 4, you know what I'm saying? And become the
the new
the
face.
next iteration of that. We already have Queen Latifah took it over for TV, so he's looking
Yep.
for his successor for his films. I think he has the chops for it. It seems like he has the disposition. He seems very lovely in terms of his personality and interviews. I could see him going far in his career and his success. He's really hot right now, so it's a good time to capitalize.
It really is. What I thought was interesting while I was preparing for the recap, this film was supposed to be Boyega's film.
Hmm.
And
I don't think it
my
would have hit the
question to
same.
you, I was gonna ask, do you think it would be the same? Do you think it would have been different?
Like I can already see John Boyega's facial expressions in these scenes, and he wasn't even in the film. Like I feel
Yeah.
like John Boyega is very John Boyega at this point, but I've seen him in multiple things. Whereas again, because Aaron
He is
Pierre
an
is so
actor.
fresh,
Like he
yeah.
is, but he's
I
very
mean,
adaptable. He's not at the Denzel level where he's just playing himself. You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
saying that. I mean, for me, he's so recognizable at this point because I've seen him in so many
Mm.
things. Whereas this was very fresh and new having Aaron in this role because I'd never seen him in anything that he was able to be this character. If John Boyega had been in it, it would have been John Boyega for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he would have disappeared as much as he did, even with like Woman King. Because in Woman King, he's has an accent and he's doing something. I mean, granted, he would have an American accent because he's not American, but it just it wouldn't have hit quite the same for me as it did with having someone that I had never seen before,
Yeah.
is my point. Long-winded point.
Would you watch a sequel? Do you think
No,
it deserves a sequel?
I'm not watching a sequel. Does it deserve a sequel? That's up to the fan base. If this did well on Netflix and people want a sequel, because again, they do feel like that ending wasn't quite enough, let's go for it. What is it going to entail, though? What other injustices do y'all feel like y'all need to see Terry's ass take on by himself? I don't know. I feel like he did a lot in this one film.
He did.
Let him rest. Let him go live his best life.
I know. That's so
Let him
true.
get a shower. You know what I'm saying?
Girl, that's all I want. A shower and a warm bed.
Yeah. And did he eat?
Never. No, girl.
I think one
He
time.
he went fishing with his bare hands.
Yes, one time we saw him eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let that man rest. Let him go home and rest.
Uh, Ashley, do you have any final thoughts for Rebel Ridge?
No, I don't. Like I said, Aaron Pierre, I'm sure he's going to be a star. So good for you. It was
Stop.
nice seeing Anna
Stop.
Sophia Robb
Stop.
too, because I
Stop.
honestly don't think I've really seen her since like the Carrie Diaries. Like I really don't feel like I have. I'm sure she's been
It's
in other
been
things.
a minute, and honestly, I just kept thinking, oompa loompa doopy dee doo.
Because of the
Like,
haircut?
no, she was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She was the
Oh,
brat.
she sure was. You're right. So
Yes.
that's the last time I've seen her then. You're right. I was thinking you talking about the haircut. I'm like, what was the Oompa Loompa's hair like again? I don't even remember. But yes, you're correct. So okay, that's the last time I've seen her. And then other than that, the Carrie Diaries, which was based off of Carrie and
She
them
did a good
supposedly back
job,
in their day.
but yeah, it was sad it didn't
Well,
work
that's when I
out.
fell in love with Austin Butler. I didn't even know who Austin Butler was. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
he was
that's
a
my
Disney kid.
boo.
Like he used to do Disney stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that was my boo because of that show for a little bit. He was on my list, like on my list.
All right. Yeah, this was an action film. I felt like there could have been more action. To your point, Ashley, if anything, it definitely played up the tension. So maybe that's where the thriller side comes into play. But yeah,
Thriller sometimes is more about the mind too than it
it
is about
is.
physical.
And that's why I again it felt triggering because the whole thing about racism is all about gaslighting black people.
Yeah, maybe like Antoine Fuqua or something should step in if there's gonna be a sequel.
A
Let him
sequel.
take the reins. Somebody like that.
Yes. You mean like as director?
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Time for hidden gems.
All right, I have one today. I feel like this show in its multi years run probably had more violence than this movie, honestly. And that's Jerry Springer, okay? Because there is a 2 episode documentary available on Netflix called Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action. I love a good documentary, so I usually will give them a shot if it's a subject matter that I'm even remotely interested in.
I
And
almost recommended a documentary for this week, but then I got caught up in Aaron Pierre. I was going to recommend doing the Celine Dion documentary,
mm,
but
that was a
next
good
time.
one. Yeah. But Jerry Springer's documentary really focuses on the entirety of the show from the inception and kind of where the career of Jerry started off a bit to his actual aversion at first to having a show that had this type of content and the producer who really pushed hard for it and the effects of that and backlash from the network and then getting into the content side of it, talking to the producers who worked on it, who got these guests to do all of this outrageous stuff, how they coached them, how they antagonized them behind the scenes to get them to act like this. And there was even some real life situations that I had never heard anything about, like a murder, that I just don't recall. And so it was
Really?
informative. Yes.
The only murder that I remember was the Jenny, what was her name? Was this not Jenny
Jenny
Slate?
Jones.
Jenny Jones show.
Yes. Yes.
And
There
they had to
was
cancel her.
there
But
was one from Jerry Springer guests as well.
whoa.
Yeah. And they actually had the son of the woman interviewed for this documentary. So it was informative. It was interesting again, just from a content television perspective, to really kind of remember where we were at this era and them really feeling like this was the beginning of the end in terms of what is acceptable on television and shock and all culture and all this type of stuff that we kind of see much, much more heavily now. And even just the ratings wars that went on at the time, and the fact that when Jerry started, they never thought they would beat Oprah, and they did beat Oprah, and just, all just a lot of it was just very interesting. It was like a little bit of a time capsule, a stamp on time in like TV history. So that also made it really interesting to me. So that is my one hidden gem, guys. Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action, available on Netflix. What about you, Delora?
I don't really have a hidden gem. I think if anything, I've been listening to this song on repeat. It is called Messy by Lola Young. And you probably heard it all over social media, but it's kind of a bop. I'm too messy and that I'm too funky. Yeah, it's a bop. I like it a lot. It takes a while for it to build up, but it's a fascinating song. So I'll just throw it out, courtesy of social media. That's all I have, Ashley.
All right, nice. Well, guys, that is it for us for today. Let us know your thoughts on Rebel Ridge. Let us know your thoughts on the Aaron Pierre if you care to. We look forward to it. Please share this episode out with everybody you know. We will be back with more in headlines and hot topics. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.